Welcome to Coffee with Viking. I am Mike. Cheers. And I've been thinking a lot about the parable of the Good Samaritan. It kind of made me think back to when I did that daily devotion where I was talking about the helping hand. And, the greatest gift we could actually give people isn't always necessarily in money or possessions, which could lead to a temporary help. But if we actually let God use these through us, that could actually lead to a greater solution in someone's life, not only because you give them that temporary help they need there, but it may lead something up here that could lead them to Christ. And it could leave a memory for them knowing that while we do live in this dark, broken world full of selfishness and greed, that there are still good people out there, like the Good Samaritan. And I urge each and every one to be a Good Samaritan. Whether it means helping someone carry their groceries, opening a door, or any form of help that you could give anyone, whether it just be even just being an ear to listen to them talk about what they're going through. Just showing any kind of love through your actions. Letting God use us, use these to extend and to help others, could lead to something much greater than any amount of cash or any possession. But I do urge everyone to please be a Good Samaritan. Now, in Luke chapter 10, 25 through 37, it tells the story of the Good Samaritan, the parable. So here's Luke 10, 25 through 37. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? And Jesus, he said unto him, What is written in the law? How readest thou? And he answering him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. And what is your neighbor? Your neighbor isn't just the person living next to you. Your neighbor is your fellow man and woman. It is everybody. We are to actually love one another as we would ourselves, and put God above all else. And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right, this do, and thou shalt live. And by live, that means eternal life. It means if you follow those commandments by putting God above all else and putting others at the same as yourself, then you are doing the commands God has given you, and you will inherit eternal life. But he, willing to justify himself, said unto Jesus, And who is my neighbor? And Jesus answering said, A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment, and wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. And by chance there came down a certain priest that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him, and passed by on the other side. And this happens more often than you think. People will do anything. They will find a new route to avoid anyone who needs help. I used to be one of them. I am guilty of this too. The old me was not a very good person. And by chance there came down a certain priest that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him, and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him, which is what we need to have towards one another. We need to be compassionate to those, especially those in need. And went to him, and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And on the morrow, or tomorrow, when he departed, he took out 2 pence, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, Take care of him, and whatever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee. Which now of these 3 thinkest thou was neighbor unto him that fell among the thieves? And he said, He that shewed mercy on him. Then said Jesus unto him, Go and do thou likewise. And here in 37, it is saying what I am urging each of you to do, which is to be the Good Samaritan, to not find a different route, but when you see someone in trouble, show mercy, show kindness, be compassionate, as Jesus would, as the Good Samaritan did in this parable. Now, I know sometimes it's hard to show compassion, especially in this world, because it's hard to trust anyone. But when you do see someone that is desperately in need, it shouldn't actually be that difficult. But I know that this world is broken. I know that we live in a world full of selfishness and greed. But again, I urge anyone that if you see anyone in need, please extend this hand. Let God use you. Let Him guide you to do the right thing and to help those who need it. I love you all. Stay blessed. Stay caffeinated. And be the Good Samaritan.